Here. So Northern Lights Center for Spiritual Living is a community of people dedicated to using spiritual and practical principles to create lives we want to live. And Northern Lights Center for Spiritual Living offers practical and spiritual tools to make positive changes in our lives. Our promise here is to reveal, inspire, uplift, celebrate, and magnify your greatness. We acknowledge our presence here on the traditional and unceded lands and waters of the first people of Seattle, the Duwamish and Coastal Salish peoples. These people are still here, and we join with them in how they continue to honor and bring to light their ancient heritage. We seek to resist the erasure of Indigenous histories as we work towards honoring and inviting the truth. In a similar fashion, we acknowledge how the labor of enslaved Africans and their ascendants, who suffered the horrors of transatlantic trafficking, chattel slavery, and Jim Crow, has contributed to so much of what we know in this country today, including our culture, economic growth, and development throughout history and across time. We also name the Asian and Chicano people who toiled with little recognition. We are indebted to their labors and their sacrifices, and we must acknowledge the tremors of that violence throughout the generations and resulting impacts that can still be felt and witnessed today. Please join me for our opening song, Woke Up This Morning. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on spirit. Well, I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on spirit. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on spirit. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Walking and talking with my mind stayed on spirit. Well, I'm walking and talking with my mind stayed on spirit. I'm walking and talking with my mind stayed on spirit. Hallelujah, hallelujah. I gave my mind stayed on spirit. Well, all day long, I gave my mind stayed all day long. I gave my mind stayed on spirit. So for this morning's meditation, the people online will not necessarily hear the musical song because apparently if I am speaking the meditation and the music is happening, you will hear one or the other rather than both. So people have requested by the majority of folks to please just let the music go and let the meditation happening. But what is playing in the background is an instrumental version of Imagine by John Lennon. So what I'm going to invite everyone to do for this morning's meditation is to just find as comfortable a position as you can find. And if that is seated, settle into your chair, feel the support. If it is standing, be aware of the ground underneath your feet. Allow yourself to just gradually pay attention to your breath. So as you bring your breath in, You'll notice a rise of the chest. And as you breathe out, the fall of the chest. And physiologically, every time we breathe in, our heart beats a little bit faster and we're ready to engage in action. And every time we breathe out, our heart slows and we may experience a little bit of rest, a little bit of recovery. So with that attention on that oscillation between action and rest, in this time of meditation, we allow ourselves to become more still than we may typically. Or we may allow ourselves to become deliberately still. And I just have a simple question. What if, as you breathe in, what if? And this isn't the catastrophizing, what if the sky falls down? This is the possibility. This is the celebratory joy of living. What if I spent my whole day enraptured by the beauty of the world around me? What if I spent the whole day considering all of the loving relationships that have contributed to who I am, to what I am? What if I just pause and be deliberately grateful for so much that is available? So as we enjoy this time together in meditation, just pose that question. What if? And if we find ourselves drawn to that worry side of it, just notice it and let it go. Say, thank you for presenting yourself. And I don't need to pay attention to you right now because I'm opening to a world of possibilities, to the cosmos that is created moment by moment by moment. I am opening to more and more and more. What if? What if? What if? So what if we leaned into inspiration? What if we moved from a place of joy? What if we walked our path, remaining open to possibilities? What if we remained receptive to beauty? What if we took time to really feel gratitude? So in the space of possibilities, allow ourselves once again to be aware of our breath. The ease of breathing in and breathing out. The support of the ground beneath our feet. The vastness of the sky above us. And all possible paths on the roads outside our doors. So becoming conscious of our chairs, of our support, of the ground beneath us, allow ourselves to come back to the room. And I say, Amen, Ashe, and so it is. So Michael has put up on the screen our community declaration, which we will say 3 times. We are an expanding and loving community working in a field of infinite potential. We are an expanding and loving community working in a field of infinite potential. We are an expanding and loving community working in a field of infinite potential. And so it is. Now, today's reading comes from Ernest Holmes' book, This Thing Called You. And I don't know how long people have been around, but Michael has shared how this is one of his favorite Ernest Holmes books. You, like all others, are seeking the joy of living. You wish to be needed, to be loved, to be included in the great drama of life. This urge is in every individual. It is in everything. The rose exists to express beauty. The root and branch conspire with nature to give birth to blossom. We are all some part of a universal order. The very urge for personal gratification is incomplete until it finds a universal outlet. This is the cause back of all upheavals in human history. The pattern is trying to fit the pieces into greater and greater units, as though it could not accomplish its purpose through anything other than a democracy of spirit, a union of all. This union, however, never means uniformity. Every blade of grass, every crystal, every drop of water, like every individual, is a little different from any other one of its species. You belong to the universe in which you live. You are one with the creative genius back of this vast array of ceaseless motion. This original flow of life. You are as much a part of it as the sun, the earth, and the air. There is something in you telling you this, like a voice echoing from some mountaintop of inward vision, like a light whose origin no human has seen, like an impulse welling up from an invisible source. Your soul belongs to the universe. Your mind is an outlet through which the creative intelligence of the universe seeks fulfillment. And so it is.
Maybe she doesn't know that she's.
Well, she would see it.
Oh, she.
Yeah.
Maybe she's reflecting.
Well, she's waiting for Michael to pull up
Oh, I see.
her first song.
I see.
Yeah.
This is.
Oh.
This is his church.
We're going to the land of milk and honey, where you don't need no money. Talking about the journey deep inside, with infinite spirit as a guide, where your imagination can run free, and you can realize all your dreams. We're talking about the journey deep inside, with infinite spirit as a guide. Everything you want is already there. Whatever you desire, it will appear. Oh yeah, yeah. We'll be living in heaven here on earth, experience life for all it's worth. We're talking about the journey deep inside, with infinite spirit as a guide. But what you believe you can achieve, let your wild horses run free. We're talking about the journey deep inside, with infinite spirit as a guide. Everything you want is already there. Whatever you desire, it will appear. Oh yeah, we're going to the land of and you don't need no money. Infinite spirit, your imagination can run free, and you can realize all your dreams. Talk about the journey, Oh, let the spirit be your guide, let the spirit be your guide, let the spirit be your guide. Let the spirit be your guide, let the spirit be your guide, let the spirit be your guide. I'm talking about the inward journey. 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 We're living in heaven here on earth. Woo! We're talking about the journey. Journey, talking about the journey and what you believe you can achieve. Talking about the journey deep inside. Talking about the journey. Talking about the journey. Yeah. You don't need no money. Talking about the land of milk and honey. Everything you want is already there. We've been living in heaven here on earth. Yes, we will. Thank you. What a band. Wow.
You have to unmute. Have you unmuted? There you are.
I was pushing on mute and it was giving me something else. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. Good morning, Northern Lights. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm coming in from the lovely gray, but still lovely Whidbey Island. It's good to see you all. So I am going to share my slides with you. And the title of my talk is What If? And I am not sure what you are seeing. Are you okay? You can see it.
Yes, we can see the slide deck and your movement through the slides.
Yeah, I don't want the deck. Let's see. There.
There
That's
we
what I
are. We
want.
see the slide.
That's what I want. So welcome. And the question is, what if? And Reverend Vaughn's meditation and reading were right on target. I loved the imagine, I put it on my cell phone so I could listen to it through the meditation. So, what if is a question that we can use going forward all the time. What if we have more power than we use? What if that's true? That's what we teach in Science of Mind. What if that's the case? It actually is the case, whether anyone agrees with me or not. We are creating all the time. We're either creating intentionally or unintentionally, sort of the default programming. If we embrace the idea that we have more power than we use, what would our lives look like? What if we got out of the box? Years ago, when I was in California, a friend of mine said, Pamela, you need to get out of the box. Go on, girl, just push the boundaries. So I threw one leg over the box. Then I told her about it, and I put two arms and my head out of the box. And finally, I got out of the box, mostly. And it was an entirely different world once I got there. We have the potential for making a personal, a local, and even a global impact, should we choose to do so. On the personal end, Our small actions can make meaningful change starts with the individual actions that inspire others to contribute and make a difference globally or locally or personally. It means that we can, by just living to our highest and our best, we can make a difference just being us at the highest and the best, collaborating with the power within us, the spirit within us, to present something beyond what we see and what we're afraid of and what we're suffering from. We can step above all of that with the question, what if? And the rest of the what if is up to us. What if we can have a positive impact? What if, despite what's going on out there, we can still enjoy our lives? What if we can inspire others? What if we can just plain inspire ourselves? In Eddie Watkins' song, The Journey Deep Inside, he's not talking about the journey going outside and fixing the world. He's speaking of going inside and looking at who we are and how we are and how we're showing up in the world. And even beyond that, what's our intention for the world and what's our intention for how we show up in it? A long time ago, I said, I want to be someone who, when I walk in the room, people say, oh, there she is. Not, oh God, here she comes. I want to be a person who isn't bringing in the latest drama and bad news, but a what if, an imagine, a brighter perspective. So, not throwing away the garbage that we're dealing with, but what if, despite that, there's good? Because I swear this island is a little bubble. There's an awful lot of good we are experiencing here on the island, even though agents have taken people away. Still, there are many folks left, and they're doing okay. What if it stays that way? What if the community gathers around these people? Now we're moving into local what ifs, beyond the personal what ifs. What if we find a way to protect these people and support these people that some folks would like removed and sent away? What if we did that in the many different ways that we can? And what if that happened beyond just the island? What if it's happening in Minnesota? I know for a fact that there's someone who's with a group of people who's trying to make that the reality for Minnesota, Minneapolis to be exact, working to help protect and support the folks that are in danger right now. What if just thinking that there's a possibility that we can make a difference in that arena? What if by thinking it, we do that? When I was 19, I became intrigued with something I read that said, we only use 10% of our brain. And I thought, 10%? Well, what about the other 90%? I want to use all of it. Just what could I do if I was using 90%, considering I'm only using 10% now? And I went on a search for how to use more of the brain. The only thing I found that answered that question was spirituality. I read a book by Edgar Cayce, about Edgar Cayce, not by him, and he was called The Sleeping Prophet, and that was the name of the book. And he was able to tap into what he said was the information that circled all around us. It was out there in the universe, so to speak, and you could just tap into it and get answers to questions or get information. Everything that ever was and ever will be was in this universal circle of information, kind of like stardust, only it was information bits. And Casey dipped into it specifically for people who asked him questions. Who am I? How am I? What happened? And he would go in and come back out and say, you've got a tumor and here's the remedy for it, or you were married to that person 2 lives ago, and so on and so on. He's documented in the Smithsonian Library. He's actually documented. They wrote down all of his cases and they put them in there. You can look him up or you can buy the book, Sleeping Prophet, Edgar Cayce. Um, that was what I found that could help us use the rest of our brain. For us, that's our spiritual practices. Us meaning science of mind practitioners, people who practice the philosophy and the beliefs of science of mind. Spiritual practices are the blueprints for spiritual engineering. I love that. It's not mine. I got it from CSL. But I thought, wow, that's a cool way to put it. The blueprints for spiritual engineering. We think, oh, there they go, telling us to meditate and pray and journal and read and whatever else our spiritual practices might be. We're always saying, do your spiritual practices. I could give you a challenge, like don't do a single spiritual practice of any sort, including setting intentions and believing that there's a power that's working with you to create what you want in life. Drop all of it and see what your life is like for 1 week. I could tell when I first started with this philosophy who did and didn't have spiritual practices. The people who did were a little calmer, more positive, more intentional. The people who weren't using their spiritual practices pretty much were drama queens. Drama followed them everywhere. If something went wrong, there was a big reaction to it. They go on and on about the negative aspects of it. It's like, oh, okay, that's somebody who doesn't meditate on a regular basis because they'd be able to bring that stuff down just a little bit and work it through it and work it rather than allowing it to take them over and then having them take it everywhere they go. People I don't want to be in the room with, I'll admit it. I have learned, however, to center myself when I'm in the room, so to speak, with that kind of excitement, drama, behavior. I've learned to be still while this goes around me. And it's the spiritual practices that have helped me do that. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with the movie about Temple Grandin, but I saw it 2 weeks ago. She's from Denver and my husband's from Denver, and he actually heard her speak. And he said, this is a good movie. Temple Grandin was seriously autistic, declared autistic, so autistic. The professionals, the doctors who examined her, told her mother, honey, you need to put her in an institution somewhere because nobody can handle her. Regular schools can't deal with her. You don't know what to deal with her. The only thing to do is to send her away. Temple's mother didn't do that. She did everything she could to raise her child to be able to be among people. And she wasn't a specialist or a psychiatrist or psychologist. She was just going with a gut feel, her intuition, if you will, to help her daughter. She knew that putting her somewhere wasn't the answer. So, in case you want to watch this movie, and maybe it would be a great community movie for Northern Lights, I'm not going to tell you all the details, but I'm going to tell you three things. One, Temple helped herself. Two, other people helped Temple at key points in her life. Temple changed the way cattle are prepared for Safeway. She couldn't turn everybody into a vegan, but she developed a better way to release the lives of the animals that was less traumatic than what had been done. Temple also showed the world what an autistic person could do if you stopped looking at them as broken wing birds that couldn't fly and saw the potential and breathed wind under the wings of their potential. She became a public speaker. You could find her on TED Talk. She's written several books, not just about the cattle industry, but also about autism. I was so moved by this movie. I just was fascinated with it. There was one other thing that I'll tell you about the movie. And again, there is so much in the movie that these few things I'm telling you won't have spoiled it for you. Being autistic, Temple was very afraid of change and various things. And one of her mentors said, see the different as a door, opening to an entirely new experience. And because she was so visual, she could literally see the door opening into other areas and other aspects and other experiences and other ways of doing things and handling things. I love that. And so often we see doors as closed. They're barriers to what we want to do. We can't get through them. It's a closed door. So I'm moving beyond the movie on this one because doors have fascinated me. The doors you're looking at are doors I took pictures of when I was in Spain. There were all these doors, and I said, I'm going to do something with those doors. I don't know what it is. Well, this is part of it, but not the end of it. But it's so easy when we hit a closed door to say, okay, can't do that, can't go there. That's not going to happen. But then there are other doors that may open into something entirely new. I don't know how often it's happened to you, but it's happened to me a lot where a closed door over here, I go to this door, still closed. I go to this one, it opens. And what happened was better than anything else I imagined. Just recently, I finally found a little gig here on the island. Um, and I asked my first accompanist to go with me. And she said, no, I don't want to do that. I don't play in places like that. And it's only for a half an hour, and I'm not packing up my keyboard to go down and play for half an hour in a coffee shop. Not doing it. She was clear. And I said, okay, closed door number one. So then I went to another door and knocked on it, and I said, Richard, you said once you'd like to accompany me singing. Would you be willing to do this? And he told me, oh, no, I don't actually do jazz. Sorry. And I said, all righty. So I went to my last door, who is actually my favorite accompanist, who I had already decided would never do something like this, but by now was either him or tell these people I couldn't do the gig. And he said, I'll give it a try. So I got through these two closed doors my preference in the first place that I didn't have the guts to go talk to. And in my mind, this opportunity is opening a door to other opportunities. We later found out that this little coffee shop is expanding to the cutest city on the island that's a tourist attraction above all of them. They're expanding. They're going to have another shop there. And my what if is, what if instead of only a half an hour, they'll give us an hour and they'll give us a chance to play there more than once? And what if, now that they're expanding, what if we get to be part of their expansion in Langley? What a deal. All of it because this door didn't open, that door didn't open, and the perfect door opened. And so knocking on the doors, being willing to walk through the doors, being willing to find other doors if this door isn't working for you, is key to answering the question, what if? And so Temple Grandin, just amazing what she has done with her life when she really was destined, as far as the experts were concerned, to go to an institution and never be heard from again because they would not have helped her fulfill her potential as those she'd met and herself. You'll see in the movie how much a part of her potential expanding she did. So that's Temple Grandin. I hope all of this stuff isn't showing up. Oops, back. I have a friend. She started Northern Lights with me. I almost said Mount Zion. My sister will laugh on that one. Valerie Washington. She started Northern Lights with me back in the day, and she came to Northern Lights for a while. I met her in Susie's church in Kirkland when I first moved here, CSL church. And Valerie said she was not an artist, but she liked the idea that I painted. And I could tell that she wanted to be an artist. And I said, well, give it a try. And then I told her about a gallery I was in. I said that supported Brand new artist, an experienced artist, you can put your stuff in there. Somebody might buy it or not, but either way, you have an opportunity to share your art, to meet other artists, and to learn from other artists. Valerie was an interesting and is an interesting what if person. When I met her, she was working for a couple who owned a tiny private airline that provided private flights for people who could afford to pay for that. They did so well, somebody bought them out. Valerie was out of a job. She was executive assistant looking for a new position. She got another executive position, hated it, decided to become a personal trainer, and is still making a living doing that and doing it quite well. And just out of the blue, she became a personal trainer. She was slim, she ate well, and she exercised, and she taught people how to do that. And in the meantime, she started painting. And she experimented with all kinds of stuff, and she got better and better. And so I think, oh, so at least 15 years she's been painting. And she says, I've never taken a class. I'm a self-taught person, and I do just fine. Recently, two of Valerie's paintings that were in the gallery I mentioned were seen by Corinne Cavanaugh, who has written this book, Audacious Women. And when she saw Valerie's paintings, she said, I want those for my book cover. And so it was. What you're looking at here is the book cover from Corinne's book. It's now published, out for sale on Amazon. And Valerie's two pictures were what this woman saw that described the ideas that she had in her book. Over to the left, you see Corinne, and below Valerie. For the woman who is a self-taught artist, who just does her thing, paints it the way she feels it and sees it, she's now on a book that's selling nationally. Sometimes, when I've talked about people who have achieved despite their things that other people would have said would hold them back, like not being an artist, never having taken a class, or having serious autism, or whatever it is that somebody has told you is not your superpower, or even worse yet, has told you you have no superpower. Whenever I talk about those people, some folks tell me, oh, well, they were special. I can't do that. I'm going to tell you, I used to hear that all the time in Clorox. Pamela, you really fit in here. No, I didn't. You are really successful. Well, to some degree. You're special. I could never do what you do. Lie, 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 pants on fire. That is not the truth. Yes, they could. Yes, they could. But they had decided they couldn't. There was no what if. There was no let's try the door and see. There was a flat, nah, I can't do it. I can't make it in this organization. I'm not special. Well, of course, the minute you start thinking you're not special, we all know that's the truth. You're not. Now we know the truth underneath the truth, which is we are all special. We all have gifts. We all have the opportunity, the ability, the possibility of collaborating with the power bigger than we are to create what we want in our lives. And yes, there's a price. We have to be willing to let go of not believing we can do that. We have to be willing to let go of trying to do it all ourselves. Every now and then I catch myself thinking I am responsible for the world, locally, globally, personally, somewhere along the line. It's me. I've got to fix it. And I forget that I'm in a collaboration, that I got milk, as that commercial says. I got a posse. I have an entire power that runs, rules, made, creates, and turns the universe that I can tap into. That I can say, okay, I'm putting this in the quote hands of a power bigger than I am, and they can handle it. We got access. So, what if we had more power than we use? How might we use it? What would we do with it? What dream or passion would we follow? What if we use our spiritual tools to create a world we love living in? What would that world look like? We can't just say to this power, fix it. We have to give it what the fix might look like to us and add, I want this or something better. And be willing to do what we need to do on our side to make it happen, to use the spiritual tools, to have faith, to move forward, to believe that who we are can make a positive difference in the world and can make a positive difference for ourselves, being who we truly are. So, opening the doors of possibilities. Down there is the box Janet said, get out of. Up there is an open door. We can take a step. We can take a step out of the box. We can take a step through the doors and just see what's beyond. Or we could take a leap and say, holding my nose, jumping in. I'm doing it. We can have faith that regardless of what I see in front of me, it is not the truth. And what I want to see in front of me is a possibility. And I'm going to hang on to that. What if what I want to see is not only a possibility, it's a reality for me right here and now? What about that one? We can dare to dream. It's easy to shut our dreams down with the it could never happen. I don't know how that could be. I don't see a way through to that other side of where my dream is. So I'm not going to dream. I'm going to let my dreams go. I was just talking to a musician last night. I was doing a volunteer thing, and he said, well, you know, it all comes, but you got to hold on to it. You cannot let go. And he was talking about the difficulty of getting musical gigs in on the island. He says, don't let go of it. You let go of it, you're lost. It comes in its own good time. Opening the doors to possibilities, dare to be yourself. Stop hiding. Go ahead, be you, whoever that you is, do you. Do you also with some guide rails in place? Do you, and think about the impact you might be having on others. If doing you means yelling and screaming and cussing at folks because you've been repressed all your life, yes, I just had that discussion with someone. That may be not the best usefulness, yes, of doing you. It might be better if, as my sister once said, you turn those high beams down a little bit to normal or parking beams so that you don't blow people off the highway. So do you, but think also about the impact. Think about the intention when you're doing you. But do you? I still say do you. Dare to be yourself. Dare to follow those dreams and see where they lead. Valerie just kept painting and painting and painting. She actually did not have a dream that someday someone would walk in and say, "Oh, I love that painting. I want to put it on my book." She just kept painting and doing her, even though she had no classes in painting and didn't take any. She just kept painting and it got better and better and better. She dared to follow that dream and dare to embrace the good, the possibilities. Uh-oh, I'm sorry. And all of that within yourself. Oh, there it is. Dare to embrace it. Dare to embrace the possibility that there is good in you, that there's good in others. Dare to see it, particularly if they are not necessarily in alignment with everything you believe. Dare to believe that the same universal power that walks through you, works through you, and responds to you does the same to them. And dare to have a dream of a world that works for everyone and start right there in your own backyard. And so it is. So, Michael, can we have the closing song? He's working on it.
I'm not worried about tomorrow. Today I declare freedom from yesterday and mistakes of the past. Today all things are made brand new. And don't it feel good to know that all is well and unfolding as it should? I can change my reality by changing my mind. Perfect peace, joy, and happiness is yours and it's mine. I am loved and so are you. And don't it feel good to know that all is well and unfolding as it should? Let me hear you sing, all is well, all is well. Divine Spirit is directing me right now. In the Spirit, I am fed by the divine. I am one with all that is. My soul as it should.
And in it, that inspiration of declaring that possibility that all is well and unfolding as it should, I bid the people on YouTube farewell, and I wish you a fabulous week where you are stepping through doors that are open and you are leaving the closed doors and finding new doors and continuing to ask the question, what if? So thank you, folks on YouTube. Have a great week. And now Michael is going to come forward with our announcements, and that will include that we are having our prayer exchange. So if you have a prayer request and you haven't sent it in and you would like someone to be holding you in their thoughts and heart over the next month, please send it in. We've already received some, but if you want to be included, please let us know and we will make sure that your lists are in the basket. So no pressure, just an invitation.
Thank you, Reverend Vaughn, and thank you, Reverend Pamelagrace, for different way of doing things. Oh, I know what I didn't do today. I didn't say that there'd be light. Oh, my goodness. It's much easier to see with a little light here. As Reverend Vaughn said, today is our prayer exchange day. And he said, if you want somebody to, and even any day, any time during the month, it doesn't have to be just one day, to ask for prayer support. You can send in to the Northern Lights email, and we'll get somebody to hold you in prayer. I mean, it's that simple. Or call, or let somebody know that you need to be held up and supported. There's nothing wrong with that. I've had to find out through the years that yes, ask for help. And like Reverend Pamela said in her talk, thinking you have to do it all yourself and that you have to solve everything yourself. That's a lie. That's not true. That otherwise we'd be all alone in this world if we didn't need anybody for anything. Why are there other people? So I just want to shoot my 2 cents out there. And so while we are doing that, getting the prayer request in, I'm going to go here, not there. I don't want you. But bye-bye. I want to, why am I getting all these things I don't want? I want this mama. There we go. We'll do our offertory prayer. And we pronounce this with vim, vigor, and vitality, and knowing that it's true. I am rich, I am prosperous, money flows through me freely and copiously from many channels. Spirit is the source of all my good. I give abundantly as I have already received, and so it is. And speaking of, we'll stop that for a minute because I need to do this.